Welcome to our podcast, where I, Keely Severson, Eric Johnson, and Alicia Swami are exposing mold. Today, we are here with our special guest, Galiano Tiramani. Welcome, Galiano. Thank you so much for joining us.
Hey there. Thank you so much for having me. And yeah, my name is Galiano Tiramani. I'm the founder of a company called Boxabl, and we are building houses in a factory using a lot of unconventional methods and building materials.
That's really interesting. Can you tell us a little bit about what is the purpose and intention of your company and how your prefabricated homes vary from other prefabricated homes?
Yeah, so the goal of the company is to dramatically reduce housing costs, and we hope to achieve that by applying the assembly line principles to housing. Because right now, the way buildings are built, they're all built kind of by hand, out in the field, and they don't take advantage of the factory environment like all the other modern products do. So we've solved a bunch of problems to make that possible, starting out with the shipping issue. Our units ship at a much lower cost than other factory built houses because they fold up. So that's important. And then beyond that, we've selected all new building materials and re-engineered the building from scratch. And as it relates to you guys, we are not using drywall in the building. We're using a different type of wallboard that has some good ratings on mold and other things as well.
That's fantastic. Thank you very much for just giving us a little synopsis. Now, I'm really interested, what was the inspiration behind this? What made you want to bring a new form of building to the market? Were you just kind of tired of seeing the same old in construction? What sparked the innovation for the company?
Well, housing is a really big problem all over the world. We just saw a huge opportunity to kind of transition this old school industry into the factory. The original idea happened when my father, who's the co-founder, also he built a modular house using the traditional modular houses that are available, and just experienced a lot of problems with the construction and a lot of problems with the shipping solution, and originally came up with that idea for the folding to solve the shipping solution. And then we just kind of started working on it on the side. And as we went forward, things got better and better. More and more resources came in, and the product got more and more exciting, and we devoted more and more resources to it. And now we're actually sitting in a factory that we just moved into yesterday, on Monday, actually.
Do you have a high population of environmentally sensitive folks who request your homes that you know of?
Yeah, a lot of people are asking questions related to that, related to, off-gassing and mold growth stuff. And as we've gone forward, we've selected all these different building materials and tried to select it very carefully to handle all the different requirements, whether it's that or fire resistance or energy ratings, et cetera. So there's a lot of different considerations when figuring out how to engineer a new building type.
Do you notice, this is just a curiosity question, I know some prefab houses that are assembled in location, they might have room for leaking. Do you have any issues with any of your products or complaints like that from your clients?
We don't expect anything like that. We are just getting started as a new company. We have, where our panels come together, we have two things. One is a shape that should not allow water runoff to enter the house, and the other is a gasket system that really seals it up very well, kind of like a car door. So I think we're going to be pretty good on that front. But we'll do a lot of third-party testing, and we'll dial in the engineering if there's any issues on that.
Do the houses come with any type of warranty?
They will. However, we have not identified specifically what that is just yet. Right now, we're just in the process of setting up the first factory. So we've moved in here recently. We've got all the equipment bolted in, and then we'll be turning on production soon, and we've got a lot of work to do and to kind of get the company up and running.
Wonderful. Are you serving the entire nation, or is there only certain pockets that you are currently offering Boxabl?
We plan to, sell these everywhere in the whole world, but we're starting off with a factory that's only so big. It should produce several thousand units per year, so I expect they'll probably all be sold locally here in Nevada and Southern California.
Awesome. And if someone were interested in purchasing, is there can you walk me through the process, maybe if someone interested in wanting to order and the whole financing, or how does that work?
Yeah, so right now we're just taking a big wait list of customers, and we have a lot of interest in the product, so the list is pretty big. We're just getting people filling out forms on the website, and then as soon as we're ready, we'll reach back out with kind of next steps on that, and it will involve various resources, including financing that hopefully has an easy process for people to buy these houses.
Perfect. And as we all know, and as we're all experiencing climate change right now, how durable would you say your Boxabl homes are for fire, flooding, earthquakes, snow impact, and all that?
Well, I think they are going to outperform traditional buildings. We've spent a lot of time dialing it in. The energy, the wind ratings we've got on them should handle the Category D winds, the worst wind conditions. They're incredibly energy efficient because of the way they're built. They have a very airtight building envelope with limited thermal bridging. The interior wallboard we're using is very water resistant, so if it gets wet, it just dries off and it's good to go. It's not going to absorb moisture or become damaged. And there's not really any wood, any traditional wood at all, or any wood on the exterior of the building, and generally that's kind of what's degrading first on most buildings. So we think we've engineered something that is far ahead and extremely durable, and hopefully will last a very long time.
That is wonderful. So my husband and I are purchasing land, and we want to do the whole off the grid thing, right? That seems to be more popular these days. Can Boxabl be fully off the grid, or does it have to be on the grid?
You can connect this to any utility solution that you want. So it should do great as an off-grid solution. In the future, we might supply those off-grid fit outs at the factory, but right now we're just kind of providing this room module that's a component in the building system, and will be used to build final buildings, to make the builder developers process much easier and faster.
Wonderful. Okay, so hypothetical, I just ordered a Boxabl home from you, and I want to know from when it's complete to factory to set up on the land, how long does that usually take?
The actual install is really just going to be a few hours. You're going to prepare a foundation and a utilities connection before our unit arrives, but when it actually unfolds and bolts down, it's just extremely easy and fast and user friendly. So dramatically faster than a traditional building.
Wow, that's incredible. So just a few hours?
Yeah, it's all fully finished in the factory. That's like electrical, plumbing, HVAC, kitchen, bathroom, and then it just kind of unfolds on site and gets locked into place. And it's really important for us to get everything we possibly can done in the factory, where the costs are lower and it's higher quality and more efficient.
Awesome. I just had a question and it flew by my mind. About your guys' factories. So how many factories do you guys currently have up, kind of doing all the prefab work?
Just this one that we're just start setting up now. We're just getting started. This factory should produce several thousand units once it's up and running, and then we'll take it from there and be looking to scale it from there.
Awesome. Now, this is kind of a nitpicky question because we do deal with a lot of people who have hypersensitivities, and contamination is a really big issue for a lot of people that we serve. And I just wanted to know, does your factory kind of go through rigorous testing or standards to make sure that none of the items in the factory are contaminated or anything like that?
I don't know about contaminated specifically, but we do have many procedures and quality control programs and third-party inspectors and everything you can imagine. So, you know, these are manufactured products. We'll be building the same thing over and over forever. So, you know, we're going to be able to put a lot of attention into detail and refining things and solving problems and making sure that this is really top-notch quality control. That's something you can't really do when you're kind of custom building out in the field, because of course there's many more variables. So I think we'll be in a good spot for that.
Awesome, thank you for that. And, you know, since you're kind of revolutionizing the whole system of construction and building, like how's the response been by just typical construction agencies or anything like that? Have you been getting any kind of like malice or people getting a little upset with what you're doing?
No, not at all. And we thought that might happen, but it hasn't. Everyone is incredibly excited and interested. And I think that any traditional builder just sees this as a way to improve their process, speed up their build time, lower their costs. And I think they're very happy and eager to become customers once we prove it out.
Mm-hmm. So it seems like a lot more people are getting interested in what you're doing and kind of want to mimic it in a way.
Yeah, we have a huge amount of interest. I mean, we've done really well with social media marketing, and it's resulted in just a massive amount of inquiries, thousands and thousands of inquiries for the product.
Yeah, I would have to say that when I posted this on our page, I mean, it just blew up with people asking about what is Boxabl? What are the materials made out of? How do I inquire? So once we launch this, you know, I know you guys are probably on back order right now, but, you know, we might increase that for you, which is good and bad, right?
Cool. So I have a question for you. How do I test my house for mold?
Yeah, so we actually had some people come on, and we had Michael Rubino from All American Restoration, and we've had some microbiologists come on, and the tests that we have currently in the market that people are using are just not 100%. They don't show the full complete picture, and testing for mold is usually through air or through tape tests or surface level tests. And again, it only shows like a snapshot of what happens. And there's people that are so hypersensitive that even if they test their home and they have low levels of mold post remediation, they could still be sick because of just, again, the inconsistency in the testing isn't just 100%. So a lot of people like us who are very sensitive, we kind of have to go based upon our symptoms. If we walk into a building, like me, Keely, and Eric, we can feel if that building is contaminated right away because we will start feeling symptoms. And sometimes that doesn't always reflect in a test because it's extremely hard to suck out the amount of air that you need out of a home to be able to do that. And there's been only one microbiologist that created an apparatus for a company to do that, where they're able to suck out gallons of air, but that apparatus is no longer functional. So we're just kind of lacking in that field right now. So if that's another pivot you want to look into and improve the mold remediation space, feel free so, because again, it's just kind of a faulty system right now. So Keely or Eric, did you want to chime in on that?
Yeah, the paradigm that we are interested in represents an extreme level of hypersensitivity where the standard methods of testing have completely failed us. So we're looking around for new housing solutions, things that are low chemical, very low potential for mold, can be set up in a pristine, like preferably desert environment, and reclaim our lives by a strategy we call mold avoidance. So there's going to be some interest in your housing solution as a means of ordering something that's fairly safe, fairly reliable, that can be quickly moved out to a good location where hopefully a sensitized person like us will have a quick solution to move right in.
Very nice.
Yeah, we've all kind of gotten to the point where our location and our house is our healthcare because of how reactive we are to standard VOCs and things in the environment. And so, you know, what Alicia was trying to say, that there's, you know, mold produces chemicals called mycotoxins, and there's no test that exists that can evaluate the full profile and concentration of mycotoxins. So a lot of people don't even know. A lot of people who have different autoimmune conditions, maybe from a leak in their house, they could never have access to information that would definitively prove that by their environment. And so our patient base, our audience base is entirely people who are looking into, well, mold illness recovery, but also really considering, you know, healthcare as medicine. Housing as healthcare, housing as healthcare and medicine.
So in answer to your question, the way we would test for mold is by sending a number of sensitized people in and just start pointing at whatever we feel.
So if that would be something that you would be interested in, Galiano, maybe in the future, or if you're interested in writing a white paper or whatever you guys decide to do, we would love to maybe partner with you guys and have some people come in and check out the buildings once they're complete to validate that, yeah, this is actually a sound building for those who are sensitive, because we have a very concerning growing population of people that are becoming sensitive because of our toxic environments that, you know, it's happening around the world. It's the outside, it's the inside. And I think people tend to miss that point of what Keely had just said, that housing really is your first step of healthcare, because you could not eat junk food. You could, you know, do all these different things, but you can't stop where you breathe, right? You have to constantly breathe in the air that you're surrounded in, and that's usually your home. People spend the majority of their time in their homes, and they don't realize that the indoor air quality is a huge contributor to health or disease. And that's kind of what we've been discovering. And so finding people like you in this industry that are redoing things, rethinking the cheap building materials that have been used since the 40s, and kind of connecting that, like, wow, people are getting sick because of primarily their homes and they're not even realizing it. So having alternate solutions is extremely important going forth into the future if we want to preserve our health. And that's just kind of how we're going through it right now.
Where's the mold growing? Is it on the sheetrock or somewhere else in the bathrooms?
Yeah, I mean, mold is growing in the sheetrock, any cellulose-based materials that are in the home. HVAC systems are a major proponent of that as well. You know, in windowsills, anywhere where there's humidity, moisture, a food source, that's usually how, you know, these are the things that mold needs to grow, basically. And, you know, it's usually all different types of molds together. The more heavier, more dangerous ones like Stachybotrys, Chitomium, you know, grow with other ones like Aspergillus and Penicillium, and they all kind of mix together. And we don't really know the synergism of their mycotoxins and what they're doing to people. I mean, we're seeing it in our patient base of people with autoimmune, respiratory issues. I mean, cancers, you name it, down the line. The WHO coined mold illness as the greatest masquerader. So it can manifest basically in anything, as anything, basically. So that's why it's just extremely important to educate people, because this information isn't readily available. And if people are sick because of their homes, you cannot find help from a regular doctor. And even some, from what I'm seeing in our patient base, even some naturopaths and these functional doctors are dropping the ball on people who are sick with mold as well. So that's kind of where we're at with that.
Yeah, sheetrock in bathrooms is probably the #1 offender, because the Stachybotrys, the toxic mold, just loves to grow on the paper backing of sheetrock. But a lot of times this fools us, and it grows on the paper backing of the fiberglass insulation, especially in the north wall, with just purely from condensation.
Interesting. Have you guys heard of magnesium oxide board?
Yeah. So that's a
That's-
great step forward.
What's your opinion on that? Because there is people that advocate and there's people that say, well, that's not really the best choice. What do you think about that?
Well, I know that it handles water very differently than sheetrock. It's just going to get wet and it's going to dry off and it's going to be fine. And I know that they've done the ASTM D3273 test on it for mold, and it's rated to not grow mold. So it seems like a better choice to me. And I think that sheetrock's probably the number one place where you're seeing that mold, because I've seen it before on sheetrock.
What's the exterior of the Boxabl made out of?
It's going to be fiber cement board.
Oh, terrific. And
Yeah.
suppose somebody changes a job, has to move for any reason, can they fold this thing up and move it again?
Yeah, it's totally possible within our system. They are meant to be permanent buildings, but by their nature, they can be relocated. It's just going to be a numbers thing of, how much did you invest in getting it set up and getting a foundation built or developing your land otherwise. But in some cases, it may make sense to take it up.
So, of course, we're all dying to know, is Elon Musk thrilled to be living in one of these?
Sorry, can't talk about him.
Oh, okay.
Apologize.
That's fine. I had a question. I'm just thinking about this as an easier and quicker building solution. And my husband and I have land in Oaxaca, Mexico, where it's so rural that, standard construction machinery probably wouldn't pass through. So can you speak a little bit about how compact size is this for traveling long distances?
Well, it folds up to 8.5 feet wide, and that's very important to make it just highway legal. And then it can set up on site with, very little heavy equipment.
Thank you.
Are these structures ADA compliant?
We have designed a version that will be, and it's featured on our website. And it was just a matter of making sure that the wheelchairs could turn in everywhere, and certain handles and counter heights and things like that. So we do have a plan for that one.
That's wonderful to hear, because a lot of, again, our patient base is pretty disabled, and it's pretty hard for them to get around in their home. So having even thought about that, you guys even, have a build, that's that's pretty awesome. And
Yeah.
I wanted to ask you, regarding the foundation, is there a certain type of foundation that people need to have in order to put the Boxabl on, or is it pretty universal?
Yeah, it's very universal. It's compatible with pretty much everything. It can just, bolt on. The floor is very strong on it, so it doesn't necessarily need to be supported fully underneath. You could support it on just a few points.
That's awesome. Thank you.
Thank you so much for your time today. It was nice talking to you and learning more about your company and the products that you produce. Does anyone have any more questions?
No, I think I'm good. I can look at the website and check it out from there. Just, it's interesting to find out that, it has magnesium oxide instead of sheetrock, and the exterior walls are going to be more mold resistant. So that's a major plus from our point of view.
Yeah, we've really been very careful in selecting all this stuff, and there's many different requirements, so they don't always all align. But yeah, it's pretty cool, and we're just getting up and running. So anyone who's interested, please take a look on the website, boxabl.com, and lots of other stuff on our YouTube and other social media channels as well. And we'll continue to post updates as we go forward, and we'll publish test data and all kind of stuff in the future.
Awesome. And I did, I have one more question before you go for the day. Are these, like, are businesses inquiring about Boxables, or like hospitals or any other institutions?
Everyone you can imagine. We have a list with over 40,000 people on it now. So huge amount of interest for many different use cases.
Wow, wow. And what are the top 3 use cases that you're seeing right now?
Well, the idea was to target this for accessory dwelling units for backyard houses with this initial small room module that we're starting with. And so that was the idea. But, you know, many other stuff, they're just rooms and they can be used for anything.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking, because I know California is really lax on their in-law, like, regulations. They're allowing people to kind of allow people to live in their backyard. So I was thinking, oh man,
Yep.
this would actually be great to put in your backyard and make extra income.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah. Well, that's great. You know, hopefully you guys start building hospitals one day, because hospitals are, are a big problem with mold and a lot of other issues. So, but anyways, we wish you great luck. I mean, we hope that your business continues taking off. Thank you for joining us today. And yeah, if there's anything else you'd like to tell our audience, please do so.
No, I think that's it. You know, thanks for having me, and yeah, we'll keep you posted on our progress.
Cool. Sounds good. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Thank you.
Oh, keep recording. I'm going to just record the outro. Thank you everyone for joining us today. We just had a quick conversation with Galiano Tiramani. He is very, very busy working on Boxables and getting on all those back orders. Seems really cool what they've got going on and what they've invented, and just bringing the assembly line approach to the construction industry, but also utilizing materials that are pretty friendly for people who are sensitive. So I am really excited to see what they're going to be doing, and just seeing their products and seeing the reviews over time, how these things stand up to climate change and all the rest. So please go ahead, like, share, comment on our content. Also, go ahead and check out our GoFundMe and Patreon page to keep this podcast rolling, and to donate some of that money to further research that we want to look into. Got a lot of stuff brewing over here. We can't wait to share it with all of you. Thank you again. We'll see you next time.